Okay. Okay, let's pick up where we left off last time. Let's just start the beginning of the mitzvah, and I'll pick up where we left off. Mitzvah Reish Lametes, and the mitzvah of the Hero about the din of the Ganov, what you do to the Ganov. Okay, and it says B'din Hagonev Shenitnois or Nigve Mimenu Oisoi Niknes Oisoi Tashlumi Kefo Tashlumi Habo B'Chamisha. Oh, Nahal Gehu Imbo B'Machteres. Okay. Oh, Nimkareu. Or you sell him as an Eved if he doesn't have to pay. So the first two we spoke about last time. Tashlumi Kefo Tashlumi Habo B'Chamisha. The after this now, the next thing, this Boba Machteres, and that it's part of the Din Hagonev is a very interesting thing. And that's what I like to focus on. The pasuk says, "Iba Machteres Yimsa Haganov Vuhuka Vomeis Ein Loidom." If the person is burrowing into the house and he's found burrowing, and the balabais hits him, and the Ganav dies, ain't lo dom, means no chiyumis. Okay, we say it. So let's just start with the following point that the whole portion that the killing of the Ganav is not to do with tashlumin. You see here at the beginning, shenigve or nigbe mimeno or nikno say tashlumi kefol or tashlumi abo b'chamisha. Okay, then there's different verb. Oh, now gale. So on certain things there's a gvia or tashlumin, and in certain situations there is now gale in boba machteres. So this is not a tashlumin to do anything to do with Geneva, but it's from the dinim of Geneva that you can kill the boba machteres, and that's bedin agonev, the various dinim which come up in when there is a ganef. There's certain times it's a shlumi kefo, certain times it's a dalavehe, and in certain times you might be able to kill him. It's not tashlumi geneva, but it's dinim that are intertwined with geneva. That a geneva, but machteres, is now geil. So, since it's a diniganu, that's why one could understand that the Rambam quotes the din of Baba Machteres in Hilchos Geneva and not in Hilchos V'Seich U'Shmias Adepis. And he doesn't quote it together with din Eroidev. So then you can go further. And I'm not sure we'll get to Eroidev, but whatever, maybe we'll get. That's why I want to put Eroidev together today. I'm not sure we'll get there, but Eroidev is an obligation to kill the Eroidev. Okay. There's no obligation to kill the Baba Machteres. It's a heter. The whole mitzvah here, if you remember, is a shran. It's a din. There's no chiyuv to kill the Baba Machteres. In Reidev is the chiyuv to kill it. But it's midina Geneva. And the Ram quotes this din of Geneva in Hilchos Geneva, and the din in Reidev, the chiyuv, ariga of Reidev, that you have to kill the Reidev in Hilchos V'Seich U'Shmias HaNefesh. That the Ram quotes in Perik Aleph, Vezukos V'Seich Shmiras HaNefesh Halacha Vov. Achronim talk about Zarichus. The Pova Machteres was going to say, okay, these are the facts at the moment. Okay. Okay. Now, there's an important thing over here. The Ram uses the word. The Ram uses a word. The word is an Arabic word. It's Kuf Aleph Tzadi Tzadi. Okay. And it's Ubechlal in Ibn Tibet, it's Bechlal Kol Mishpatei Aganav Kmo Shis Boya Bakos. Only Kreu Ubechlal Kol Mishpatei Aganav. Second. Klolo Shodovo Kol Einshi Aganav. He's explicit. Kmo Shibi Akos. Kol Einshi. All these things are Einshi Aganav. And now Geu is an Einish. Okay. So I assume that the same way that kefil is an einish, okay, which we can omer stem kefil is an einish, is the killing the bob machter is also an einish, and that's the katzatz. That's einish. So I assume because of this, I don't know if he's working with the Arabic, the Aviezi comes to the conclusion that the Harigas Bob Machteris is an Oynish on the Ganef, and he's not Nerav B'Teris Leidev, but because of the Dini of the Pasha's Ganef. Not like Rashi, the Rashi's opinion that the Hariga of the Bob Machteris is not Medina Ganef, but it's Medina Leidev. Rashi's in Hedron, I ain't based on an Aleph. The way Maskell Chazok ain't all the Maimid Atzma Mamoinoi. And then what he says the following: Sheroye She'acher Noitloi She'acher Noitloi B'Shoisek, that he sees someone taking his money and he's quiet. Hilkoch Yodei Haganev Hazeh Shebala Bayis or you made Almamoni, he's going to stand for his property rights. Latziloi Umei Ma'oma Haganev I Azilno Legabe Koi Biape. If I'm going to come, he's going to stand up against me. The Koi, and if he's going to stand against me, I'm going to kill him. Katil Malay. V'omer l'cha teira ein loidomim. U'malam d'cha mi'acha shubo l'hogcha hashke mato l'hogo. It's related, I guess. I don't know. And because the Gemara itself clearly says that Abol Lahol Chashkin Lahorgo. Gemara says in Brachos in Nun Chesed Aleph. Oma Hai Leidefu Vatei Oma in Bol Lahorcho Hashkin Lahorgo. So that's a little difficult because, is it a Ganef? Is it a Baba Mach? Is it an Oynish of Roidef, or it's a Medina Ganef? So what's a Bol Hashkim Lahorgo? If that's Roidef, so we don't understand 100% what's going on over here. But the Ram clearly is trying to put the dinim of Baba Machteres in Hilchos Geneva and not together with the Roidef, and also clearly according to the Rambam, where there's a heter to kill, but it's only a heter. There's no chiyuv, and in Roidef there's a chiyuv. That's what Ram says in Perik Test of Hilchos Geneva, Halacha Zayin in Test. Above Machteres, bein biyom bein b'layla ein lo domim. El im hogoy balabayis or shar od the petuim who is shus yes l'kol odom l'hogoy. It's only a heter. And even more than that, there's a difference in the formulation of the mitzvah. The mitzvah of Reish Lamed Tes is a shrana, is a din. There's no chiyuv, there's no obligation. The mitzvah of Roidef, Reish Mem Zayin, is amar, is an obligation. There is, you remember the Minchas Chinuch, whenever there's a amar, mitzvah gila, there's a kiyum. There's a kiyum of killing. There's an obligation to kill the Roidef, and there's a kiyum. It's kiyum on mitzvah. In Bob Machteres, there's no kiyum to kill him. It's a heter to save the money. Now, let's go further. There's another pasuk in Shmos Chav Beis Beis. Im zocha shemesh olov, domim loy, shalem yishalem. Im ein loy, v'nimka b'ginei basar. So if a person doesn't have the wherewithal, the ganef, to pay, he's nimka b'gineva. That's what it says in the parsha. If you remember, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but now let's go back. So there's a mitzvah in this din, this tashlume kefa, dal v'hei, harigas baba machteres, and nimka b'geneva of a ganef. He doesn't have the money to pay. If you recall, in Sherish Yud Dalet, the Ram says that each type of oynish you count as a separate mitzvah, and he talks about kefo. He says, "Umehem mashetzivono yisal shenani shoiver aleim b'mamoinai levad." O begufoi, kamo sheyiknas begazlan tesefes achomesh. U begoine tashlume kefo. So, maybe he's counting kefo and dalvehe is one. It's that's 2 times, 4 times, 5 times. Okay, say that. But l'cheira, according to Shirish Yudalid, you can't put kefo and dalvehe together with killing of the Baba Machteres and Nimke Beginei Vosai. It's a different completely. See, dalvehe kefo, you say maybe it's one. Okay. But Ariga of the Bob Machteres and Nimka B'Gnei Bosa, the Dus, is a Chazorah. He's not counting the types of Oynish when it comes to Mum. Now, this really is an introduction, and there is a Raman Aravid in Nina Mitzakotze. In Reish Lamites, the Ram goes like this in Nina Kotze. Lodun begane b'tashlumin o b'misa. Shenema v'chiyignoy v'im b'machteres v'gunevish v'gunevish u'mochol. So let's forget about v'gunevish u'mochol. Let's forget about kidnapping. Let's just focus on the ones before. Lodun begane b'tashlumin o b'misa. V'chiyignoy Shenema v'chiyignoy v'im v'chulei v'im machteres. So the Ravid says that it's either 2 or 3. It's not 1. So the question is, he writes, Lord and Bedin. The Ravid writes like this. Om Avrom, Volomo lo yichosh v'shtayim v'sholosh. So we're worried about the sholosh, but he learns that l'chayr tashlumin, kefil and dal v'hei is 1. And Alig is 2. So there's Oynish and Tashlumin is Koil Kefil and Dal V'Hei, exactly what you would have assumed in the Rambam. It shows you down the Rabbit's taking the Rambam's approach. And there's another Hariga of the Baba Machteres. There's 2 separate mitzvahs. The Rambam counts it all as 1. The problem is, okay, so this, okay, so this in Sefer mitzvahs is okay. You see, even the case of Mechira, it's a, you see, the important thing over here is that maybe according to the Rambam, when it comes to the Shrana, all the disparate dinim, as long as you can have one a big umbrella, even though each one might not have anything to do with each other, the large umbrella is that anything you do to a ganef, it might be kefir, it might be dalaveh, it might be ariga, it might be mechira. But the din of what you end up doing with a ganef or mechayivin. So if we're all in the sense of a shrana, it could all be one mitzvah. But if you're looking in terms of amal, in terms of a obligatory mitzvah, whatever, dal v'hei and kefir l'chera has nothing at all to do with the ariga the bom machteres. But you see, it's difficult to say one way or the other what the Ravid's opinion is because it doesn't say anything. It just says maybe it's 2 or 3. The Rambam Minyan HaKotzer, see, until that point, it's very simple and everything we understand, and maybe we understand the Ravid better than the Rambam, maybe Fakir, that since the Rambam's opinion is that's the shrana, you can put everything in. It's one big pot. But what he does in Minyan HaKotzer, and he adds going to the Foshers, that becomes astounding. Lodun begane betashlumin, o b'misa. So o b'misa, shenem v'chiyignoiv. Im b'machtere chule, im b'machteres chule, begoin levishu mocharai. So there's an oinish misa, there's lodun begane betashlumin, o b'misa. Tashlumim is kefil and dalvei. B'misa is either baba machteres or the chiyuv misa in goinev nefashes. Why you should put goinev nefashes together with a pashtagan, it's like a separate lav in goinev nefashes. There's a lav of leisignoivu, which is genevus mammon, and there's a lav of leisignoiv, which is genevus nefashes. 2 separate lav and 2 separate oinshim. The oinish of geneva is dal vehei or kefil. And you have to investigate with Ramesses Sektsatz. There may be that the Ariga of the Bob Machteres also might be an Einish of the Geneva, but in Geneva's Nefoshes, it's a whole different world. And there's Mrs. Bezdin. Nechnokim. Okay, so that we don't understand what kind of the forces to do. It's a simple law. We don't know what the Ram wants in Minyan HaKotzer. And the mitzvah of Harigas, see, and what should come out is mistaber that the Hariga of the Goyim Nefosha, this is Nechnokim, it's the mitzvah Nechnokim. It's nothing to do with this mitzvah called Dinganav. We don't understand Ram Minyan HaKotzer at all. But the Rambam in Minyan HaKotzer leaves something out. He doesn't quote the Mechira of the Ganav Ke'eved where he doesn't have money. And if you're learning that what's included in a Ganav is the Einish of Ganav, the Mechira is not an Einish. It's just a way of paying up for the Geneva. So maybe the Rambam doesn't count it because he's only talking about Einshin. And then there's a chiddush because over here he says Einish and he still talks about the Mechir. So L'cheira, the Raiva getting to 3 is Tashlumei, Tefel Dalavei, 1. The Hete above Machteres, and the Einish of Misas Bezdin in Good in the Foshes. Okay. Next. So that is what we have over here. And the interesting word is the word of ksatz. And I just want to point out something. It really is beyond our scope, but I thought that you might find it interesting. You open up Hilchos Geneva, and the Prati Mitzvahs goes like this. Shelo Nignav moment, Din Hagan. Okay. So this is our mitzvah, Din Hagan. That's base. Hilchos Geneva. Yesh b'chol sheva mitzvahs. Shtei mitzvahs Aseh, v'chomesh mitzvahs Aseh. V'zeo pirta. Aleph. Shelo Nignav moment. That's a lovely signovel. Base. Din Hagan. Gimel, which he did already. L'tzadik hamoznayim im hamishkolos. Okay. Dalid, shelo yase ovo b'midas hamishkolos. Hey, shelo yiyeh le'odam even ve'even, eifo ve'eifo. Af al pi she'eno lekeach v'noisein bo, and he shouldn't have in his possession. Remember the lavim and the Aseh and what's going on in Midas and Mishkolos. Then Vov Shaliasa Gvul. And then there's a lav at the end of Loi Shaloi Lignoid Nefoshes. Okay. Because it's also a type of Geneva. So if I would have had Baba Machteres as part of the Din Haganov, I would have put Baba Machteres before Midas and Mishkolis. But the Rambam puts Baba Machteres and Perek Tes after his discussion of Midas and Mishkolis and after the discussion of Masik Vul. And he starts the Perek called Agoniv Nefesh B'Yisrael, is Begonim the Foshes, and at the tail end of Hilchos Geneva, after he talks about Begonim the Foshes, he talks about Baba Machteres. So, it's not clear to me that Mishnah Torah, he actually would have put Baba Machteres in the category of Din Aganav. That's what I thought you might find is interesting. Okay, next. So that I thought is interesting. The various, it's just the amazing, the difference in approach in Sefer HaMitzvos, me and Akotze, Mishnah Torah. It's very interesting. The Ram's constantly organizing and putting the mitzvahs and defining it differently. Always playing and testing and changing his mind. It's a very interesting thing. Next. Ukva izboyed diktuk din ze kuloi perek hashvi mikamo ubishmini misanhedrin. That's the Nethnokin. Ubishlishi mimetzia. Imukaymois maatim miksuvis kedushna shvus. Okay, the same. Now, let's try to take this off, and then we'll go to the more difficult things. Here are 3 mitzvahs, which I think should be pretty easy. Mitzvah reish mem. Bar mitzvah kol boim umosayim. He shetzivonu. Again, this is Sharana. Should be Horein or whatever it is. B'din ha'hever. Okay. And this is Shein v'regel. V'omo yis'ale ki yiva ish sode okerem. And this is the Gemara Bakama Gimel and Aleph. The Ram Mishnah Torah in Hilchos Niskei Momer Perek Aleph Halacha Beis and Perek Gimel Halacha Aleph brings this pasuk: Ki yivar ish sode okerem v'shilches beiroi ubiyah b'stei achem eitu sode umeitu kamo yishalem. And he's quoting it l'gabe shein v'regel. So this is shein v'regel. So the Torah has a pasuk, tells you the dinim, and it's mefurish in Torah shebiksav, and the dinim are explicit. Meit of sadeh, meit of kalmoi, and it doesn't say chatzi nezik, it's nezik sholem. So that is simple. However, one can flip it. And because this pasuk, there's ki yivar ubier, that shein is learned from ubier, and regel is learned from Meshilach, as the Moral Kama says on Gimel and Aleph. So you say 2 different parts of the psukim and the different dinim. Maybe, you could be different mitzvahs. So you could have said that when you look at the pasuk, meitiv sodeu or meitiv kalmoi, it goes on both of them. make the sodeu, make the kol mishalim, and there's make the sodeu, make the cover in shame and in regel. But that's no raya that it's one verb, because we had the same thing by Tazev. That Tazev went on leket, teya, oilois, parrot, whatever. And each one's a separate mitzvah. So maybe the same way that there are two different discussions in the Torah, discussion about forest Av and a forest Bow, but the dinim of the question is, when the Bow can be made for, when the Av can be made for. But once there is Hafara and is a valid Hafara, the din of a forest Av and a forest Bow is the same. So maybe therefore it's counted as one. Similarly, there might be different definitions of how you define Shane and how you define regel. But once you have a Shane and a regel, the din of Shane and din of regel are ach. Maybe because of that, it's one mitzvah, like a forest Av and a forest Bow. So it's the Shane and the regel are equivalent because there's no tamus. There's no tamus. There's only more adus in Shane v'regel. In Shane v'regel chayiv in the chotzer hanizat only, and since the dinim are exactly the same, so it's one mitzvah. The Rav Sadi Goin does a similar thing, and he counts keret as one mitzvah, and Shane v'regel is a separate mitzvah. In Perek Yud Zayin, page 146, Umi she'eno kosher es shoyroi hanogeach chay b'efseidoi v'im hu horag behemo hamischay b'tashlum shavin hamischay b'tashlum shavyo ki oimo inoide ki shor nagoch. So there's one thing of Keren, and then there's another one on page 148, Umi shero'o. It's talking about grazing, a shepherd, raw with an iron, behemo, besode, vihi shocha, lenafsho, v'ochla, dova, gidule, zulasa, he eats someone else's crop. All of the shalit, uksiv, yomakiva, ish sodeo. The chiv. A separate mitzvah of Keren and a separate mitzvah of Shane. Yes, regel will also be under Shane. Now, mitzvah reish mem aleph. Let's see if you will come straight. Now we'll see. Reish mem aleph is also very straightforward. A mitzvah, a reish mem aleph, a mitzvah ho'achas v'aboyim b'mosayim, he shetzivonu b'din ha'havara. V'omo yis'ale ki seitze eish u'motza kaitzim. Which is the mazik of eish. There's a separate mitzvah minyan mitzvahs. And this is also a sharana. It's a din. The Torah talks about the dinim, explains the dinim, and that's the mitzvah. Again, I think we always said that since the Torah writes a din, there's a assumed tzivui. Even though it's not a bona fide tzivui, they should act according to the din. And therefore could be a mitzvah, because the Ram learns the mitzvah tzivuyim. But shrana is not a bona fide tzivui muchot, but the Torah wants you to act according to the din. And l'cheira, there's no kiyum in tashlumi shein v'regel. There's only shrana. There's no kiyum in tashlumi l'mazik avesh. Ha'is boy dikta din zeh b'perek sheni v'shish ha'shishim mikam v'bavakam. That's Reish Mem Aleph. Okay. Now, Reish Mem Beis v'mitzvah hashtayim v'arboim u'mosayim hi shetzivonu this is Shurano. And this is Shurano, so it's a din. But this now is the Rambam has 3 mitzvahs now. Reish Mem Beis, Reish Mem Gimel, Reish Mem Daled is the mitzvahs of Shoimim. Shomer Chinam, Shomer Wisachar, and Shoel. And now they're all together. Let's see them. Reish Mem Beis, a mitzvah, hashtayim v'arboim, u'mosayim v'chizivonu, the shrano, b'din shomer chinam. V'omo yisale ki omo yisale ki yitein ish el re'eu kesef oikeil lishmo shomer chinam ukva yisbayro mishpatei din zeh b'tshi b'kamo u'shlishim im-metzia u'shminim ishvus. So for Kel, with the Ram here, mitzvah says the mitzvah doesn't tell you where the dinim are, you just the dinim. You look at Mishnah Torah, or you look at the Psukim, and you look at Mishnah Torah. But the purpose over here is not to discuss the dinim. The purpose over here is to tell you that there's a mitzvah minyan mitzvahs. Next, Reish Mem Gimel. Mitzvah sholosh v'arboim u'mosayim hi atera she'oreinu. Again, it's a shrano. B'din noisei socho v'soicher. So the Rambam says that it's not only a shomer socho, but it's also a person who's renting an item. Shedin shneim echod, kmo shebi'alnu v'yomu shloisha dinim li'abo shomer. There's shomer chinam, shomer socher, and shoel, and the din of soicher, person who's renting an object, is the din of one of the other shomer. There's only 3 dinim. There's 4 shomers. V'omo yis'ale ki yite ish re'eu chamo eisho eishse v'chgoimer ukva yisbayu mishpatei din zeh kuloi b'shishi u'tshi mikamo u'shlishi b'shishi mimetzia ושמיני משבועס. Now, let's go slowly. Nושא socho is a shomer b'schar because he takes money for the shmir. But sefer is that the person who's renting it pays money, doesn't receive money. Now, l'fum lieta, a priori, the Torah only writes about a nושא socho, a person who gets paid for watching, but not a person who's renting an object. And Hilchos Chius, you look at Lashon Rambam, it's very interesting. In Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, the Rambam writes like this. Arbor Shomrim, Nemu Batera, Ushloish Dinim Yesh Lahem. V'elu Hein, Arbor Shomrim, Shem Chinom, V'ashoel V'noisei Socha V'asoich. But we don't understand this. Because Sefer is not mentioned in the Torah. Only a nושא socho, a person who gets money for watching, or shomer chinam, or shomer or shoel. But when the Torah says in bolov imoy lo yishalim im sochirhu bo b'schoroi, the im sochirhu is a person who's getting paid for work. It's not a person who's paying for renting an object. So the sefer has nothing to do with the sefer that the Ram is talking about. So I don't know what does he mean over here. In Perek Aleph, V'schius Halacha Aleph, Arbor Shomrim Nemo Batera, Ushloish Dinim Yesh Lahem. Ve'elu Hein Arbor Shomrim, Shem Chinom, V'ashoel V'noisei socho, V'asoich Nemo Batera. Where's this sefer in the Torah? Torah talks about a sochir, not a sefer. And I can't tell you I understand anything. But Rav Sadigoy holds that there are 4 mitzvahs of Shomim, not 3. The Sefer Mitzvah of Sadigoy, Perek Yud Zayin, page 145. He adds, Soicher, Achrei Shekvar Mona, Mitzvahs, Shomer Chinom, Shomer Socha V'Shoel, Mitzvahs, Shomer Chinom, Shomer Socha V'Shoel, Umi Shesocha, Harei Shaschar, Hikiv Kol Mikra, V'Oimoy Im Sochahu. So Sochahu, we're talking about a person who's an employee. How does he put this and make it into a sefer? It's a little bit odd, to say the least. Mitzvah Reish Mem Dalet. HaMitzvah Arba V'Arboim U'Masayim Yatev Shalenu. It's also Shrano B'din Bin Shoel V'Omer Yis'ale V'Chish Al Ish Meim Re'eu B'Goymer V'Hizboru Tiktok Din Zeh V'Shmini Mimetzia U'Mishmini B'Shvuos. So that is these mitzvahs. Now, let's just start. We're not going to get very far, I guess, but this is much more. We'll see that, compare and contrast. Loide is clearly a separate mitzvah than the mitzvah b'machteres. Mitzvah Mesh Mem Zayin. I'm skipping now. Just the contrast, I think, will be very interesting. And we remember this mitzvah, HaMitzvos, HaSheva, Aboim Mosayim, Kishetzivonu is Alamar, So it's Amar. It's a regular mitzvah, it's a kiyum. A person who kills a roidev is a kiyum. Kishetzivonu lahatzil hanirdaf miyad roidev, Lahorgo. Okay. V'afilu b'nefesh roidev. Kloima. She'onu mitzuvim la'al roidev. Im lo yinucho lahatzil hanirdaf. Elo b'nefesh roidev. You can't save him except by killing him. You can't save the nirdaf except by killing the roidev amidst the killing. V'amo yis'aleh b'katzoises kapoy lo ysachar seinech. We'll have to come back to this and try to understand. Okay, let's go slowly. But I'm here, me and HaMitzvos, and also in Mishnah Torah, in Huchos V'Secher Shmos HaNefesh, Perek Aleph, Halacha Zayin Ches and Tes, learns this mitzvah of Roidei from the Parsha in the Psukim Ki Yinotzu Anoshim Yachto. There's some type of altercation, a fight between two people. Ish v'ochiv v'kol v'esh zo'echot lahatzil es isho miyad makeu v'echzika mavusha v'katzos es kapo lo'isokos einech. So I'm just going to get this. This is what I introduce. I don't know exactly how to say this, but it's very difficult to understand the parasha. Let me just ask some questions. We'll see exactly. We'll deal with the answers now. It's very, very odd. You see, if what the Torah is trying to tell you, that if someone's trying to kill you, you're allowed to kill the roidei, okay, why did the Torah say it's a strange case that two men are fighting, some type of altercation, and the wife comes in and wants to save her husband, and she becomes a roidei because Mavushav is Eivish Hashem Tluyabo, and therefore you either cut a hand off, and if you can't save the adversary of a husband by cutting the hand off, then you kill her. So this is based on many assumptions. There is a fight between two men, okay, and there's no issue of sakonis nefashos in this fight. We'll come back to this say, and the woman wants to try to help her husband. So since she does something which is misake, in other words, the fight itself is okay, but the machzika mavushav, that is the sakonas nefashos. And since she does something to cause nefashos, you should be katzos kapo in order to save his life. The person who is fighting a husband. And that's what the psukim say. It's a very strange case. Because if there would have been a husband's life would have been threatened, then the other person's the rodef, and she's allowed to kill him. The person attacking her husband. And she's not only allowed to, she's chayiv. And there's the HaMitzvos that has to cut a hand off if that's the way you're going to save the adversary of a Baala. That's the way you save his life from Hichzik of Ushav. Now, you'll notice something that the Ram quotes not only in Aseh here, but a lav. V'omo yis'al lekatzoises kapo leisochus einech. V'losh sifri v'mabushav mabushav miyuchad sheish bo sakonis nefashos v'arihu bekatzoises kapo. So any case where she's doing something with sakonis nefashos, katzoises kapo. Kach kol dovo sheish bo sakonis nefashos harihu bekatzoises kapo. Katzoises kapo melamed shato chayiv latzilo bekapo. With her, in other words, you cut a hand off in order to save the guy. Now here's something interesting. Minayin she'im atoyocho latzilo bekapo shato chayiv latzilo minayin she'im ein atoyocho latzilo. If you can't save him with the by cutting a hand off, the only way you can save her life is by killing her. Then you have to kill her. Minayin shim ein ato yochol latzilo b'kapo shato chayiv latzilo benafsho hamuloy mulei sochos ein lecho. So it's like a crazy thing. You're learning out the Aseh of killing from a lav. The Aseh that's explicit is told about cutting the hand off. And how do you know you have to kill? And you could extrapolate an Aseh minyan HaMitzvos in such a strange way. Now, I just want to mention one thing, and I think, we'll leave it for next week in Metz Hashem. There is another narrative over here in this parasha. The other narrative is we're talking about a mazik of boishes. Echzika babushav is boishes. The Ram Chevro mazik, Perek Aleph Halachates, Minayin Shu Chayiv beboishes b'fnei atzmoi shaynemo v'shulcha yodoi v'echzikam babushav v'katzoises kapov b'chlal din zeh knas hamavayish. So what are we talking about? Which narrative is going on there? Are we talking about boishes? Or are we talking about Leidef? And then there's a Ram Nakdoma to Pirush HaMishnah that he talks about ayin ba'ayin, that it's not literal, it's just l'shalim, and he says, Shenema batera v'katzisis kapo v'sochas einecho shuhu ktsisas hayad mamish v'eino knas hamavayish kmo shibiu hakabolo. So it's a novi hasheker. So what it means? The Torah is only. So what happened? The Torah is talking about boishes, or the Torah is talking about Rodef. And Mr. Hashem will pick this up next time.